Life, Legacy, and Leadership Podcast. Today we have a special guest, the Hayden Youngblood.
Let's go. Here we are.
So, Hayden Youngblood, just to give you a little idea of who Hayden is today, Hayden right now is the senior counselor of the Buckskin Bunkhouse.
That's right.
Can we call it the Bunkhouse or the Buckskin Palace?
Hey, I go by Mansion.
The Buckskin Mansion.
The Mansion.
If you do have Buckskins on your name tag, you are always in for a treat because they subbed out of the old Buckskins and into the new Buckskins, so they got the upgrade. So anyway, it's just because it's the best cabin.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. That's what I tell everybody.
Hayden also goes to UCA.
Yep.
And
Roll Bears.
Go Bears. So we're going to get into how he got to Brookhill and all that good stuff. But before we do, we want to begin by playing a game with Hayden Youngblood.
Let's go.
We want to test his knowledge. We want to see how faithful he is to Brookhill, how diehard of a Brookhiller he is.
Okay.
And so just a reminder, Brookhill game, three categories: songs, cabins, and activities. You can bounce in and out of all three of those categories, and you will have 30 seconds to throw out as many as possible. You may begin right now.
Let's see, Broncos, Mustangs, Morgans, Mavericks, Buckskins, Hackneys, Pacers, Lipizzans, Thoroughbreds, Palominos, Bays, archery, riflery, water rides, go-karts, laser tag, shenanigans, quest, basketball, field sports, woodworking and engineering. I
got it up to 21. I got a 21 unofficially. He's like, is that good? Let's see the leaderboard. So in order to be high on the leaderboard, you need to be at about 1 per second.
Oh my gosh.
So you got Anna Waller right up there at 34, Lindsay Perry at 30, Callan, and actually I think we did have someone, Ty Callan, so we'll get that updated.
Okay.
But basically, in order to get in the top three, you got to be 27 or more.
That's...
If you'll notice, you were at the you weren't even mid. You were this
C tier.
Yeah,
awesome.
so 21 actually doesn't even get you your name bolded and
maybe
15 font or whatever that is.
Yeah, that's tough.
That is
Looks
tough.
like one more than Jason though. I like that.
It is one more than Jason, and just remember Jason had 20 seconds.
Yeah,
that is why the asterisk is up there on Jason's. So Jason was up there in the Lindsay Perry territory.
Yeah, fair.
So anyway,
it felt good.
Yeah,
I had fun. Does that count for
That's
anything?
all that matters at Brookhill. That is all that matters.
I'm glad.
You just got campered right there.
Yeah.
So how'd you get to Brookhill? Where are you from, and how'd you get here?
So I'm from Conway. I was in the 4th grade. Me and my best friend, we did everything together at this time. And his older brothers, they're 4 years older than me. My sister's the same age as them. They had a big old friend group. My sister never went. But my best friend's brothers all went for a couple years, and it was always just like in the back of our parents' minds, like if we need something to do over the summer, then we'll just send them to Brookhill. And they asked us a couple times, and we were like, yeah, I mean, a summer camp, that sounds fun. Like I had been to a couple summer camps before, like smaller ones, but when they talked about Brookhill and we like got on the website, we were like, man, go-karts? I'm in. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, 4th grade, first year. Yeah, that's where it all started.
Okay, now
in the Buckskin Bunkhouse.
No way.
Yep.
So you ended up running the bunkhouse. Do you remember the counselor you had?
Drew Seal.
Yep. One of the goats right there.
For real.
Drew Seal was really good.
Yeah.
Funny story, Drew Seal did not want to be a senior counselor.
Really?
No, it was at Turkey Day that I talked to him about
it.
Yeah, so we were at Turkey Day, and I said, Drew, you going to sign up? And he's like, man, I'm not good enough.
Dang.
Drew Seal said, true story.
That's crazy.
He said, I am not good enough. I said, Drew, if you'll just sign up, I promise you're good enough.
So when I applied to be an AC, right? And I was like I was doing the number game, of course. And I was like, I got Aiden, I'll have Colton with me, like all assistant counselors, and I think it was just us three, but I was like, man, I got numbers, and these guys, I was like, these guys are above me, so they'll get a cabin before me, so I'll just get to be an AC all summer. And I did not want to be a senior counselor. I remember the same, like, I didn't want to do it. And then staff training week 1, Jet's like, gotta go do something. And they were like, all right, it's your turn. I was like, wow, okay, interesting.
Isn't it crazy how we all discount ourselves?
Yeah.
We all think other people are better than me.
Mm-hmm.
I could never do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's such a lie in our heads that we can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so for you to hear Drew Seal,
right? I never would have guessed. Never.
No, because he was incredible.
Yeah, he was great.
He really was, and kind of like Aiden. You know, Drew's third summer, he was the GOAT.
Yeah.
That third, we all were like, and he was good all the other summer.
Yeah.
He was good day one.
Yep.
But he was the GOAT by the third summer. So anyway.
Yeah, I remember like I don't know, just watching him at like guys' night, even just hooping. I was like, man, I got to do that someday. I have to. And I remember just being a camper in middle school, and I would talk to these counselors, and they'd always be like, so you want to be a counselor one day? I was like, yes, 100%. Like, yeah, at least be a junior counselor. And here I am doing what he did, playing basketball at guys' night, having fun, hooping on Dawson, you know?
You took the baton, and now it's yours right now. So, did your parents go to Brookhill? How'd y'all hear about it? Was just people around you?
No,
Do you even know?
It was just my friends.
Okay.
They went before. I have no idea how they found out about it. I think my uncle went as a camper for like one summer a long time ago, but that I don't know, because we used to have like the newspapers or something out on the wall.
Yeah.
And I remember like trying to find them through those, but I could never find them. But that just unlocked a memory. I forgot about that.
Okay, yeah. So what we had on the wall was the it was the brochures that they used to send in the mail. You used to get a brochure in the mail. And people would wait for it, and then they would hurry and get it back in and that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
And now it's just online. We just do a countdown on social media.
A couple of billboards. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Awesome. So that is super cool. What was it like that first summer? Do you remember? Can you even remember as a fourth grader?
I mean, I can remember like
just riding go-karts.
I can remember loving Small Lake.
Okay.
And I can remember not loving go-karts that much.
Oh.
Switched out of it.
Okay.
Switched out of it. I loved Small Lake. The counselors were awesome. It was. I know I had Lydia a few times in Small. I was Small Lake as much as I could be.
Okay.
And I remember Shower Man so like visibly. I remember when it was time to go, and our parents were like on the hill helping us pack up and everything, and they were asking us how the week was, and I was like, it was awesome. And my friend was like, oh yeah, he was always like trying to act cool, and he's like, oh, it was all right. I was like, dude, come on, man.
Come on,
like,
man.
Bro,
I saw you.
You gotta lie. Yeah.
I watched you during the week.
Like, bro, come on. You ain't gotta lie like that. It was fun, man. But yeah.
That's awesome.
He didn't come back the next summer. I brought a new friend.
Oh, you were like, all right.
Sub him out.
All right.
Yeah.
If you're going to act like this,
Facts.
I can't bring you back.
He couldn't do it right, man.
I love it. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, all right, I love that. Kept coming back. You remember any of the other cabins or counselors you had and just some of those experiences?
Yeah, I mean, Everett was awesome, and then I graduated out of the Mustangs. Connor, that was awesome.
Connor was incredible.
He made me feel like I was a graduate. He made me feel like a leader, which was so clutch. And honestly, I had second thoughts about even being a JC at that age, just because I had been through some things and I was just like, man, I don't think I could do it, right? I was looking up to mine, and I was like, I don't know. All it took was Dane, Jet's older brother. He was like, okay, this is my first week. I will honestly tell you if you should do it or not. And I was like, okay, I can trust him, right? And he was like, dude, it was awesome. You got to do it. And I would see him having fun. I would see him teaching the older guys how to take out trash. And I was like, all right, I got to try.
I can take out trash.
Right.
I'm qualified. But it's amazing how we disqualify ourselves.
Yeah.
We do that. And I think God calls the disqualified. I think that's all of us.
Yeah.
All of us are disqualified.
Yeah, for sure. And I can tell it's definitely been called out of me for sure. These past couple summers, it's been awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
And and even the way we do things, that first JC summer, there's not a lot of pressure to lead.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That first JC summer, just serve.
Yep.
And it's a great way to start kind of working people into leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And so when JCs feel that pressure, and I love that you were able to see Dane with those JCs, and you were able to go, okay, I can do that part.
Yeah.
And surely that's where they'll put me. They're gonna have you lead a bunkhouse
Right.
with a JC.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
You know, and especially now the way we do it with level ups. So hey, as we feel like you're ready, you can start stepping into leadership, and we don't overwhelm you your first summer with that, and you kind of start to get the culture of being a counselor, and so it's a great program, I think, a process.
I love this system because I mean, I wish it had been a thing whenever I was a JC, just because I would have loved to see where I was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would have loved to see what I would have been trusted doing. In my first week, I was just like, I don't even remember. Honestly, I was in Tucker's cabin, Mustangs.
Okay.
And then my second year, I was a Mustang again, and I started being more aware of my situation. Started being more aware of where I stood and where I needed to be if I wanted to keep going, because I did want to step up, and it took weeks. I worked 2, 7, 8. Week 2, I was like, and then 7, I started being like, man, it's the end of the summer. If I really want to do this again, like I gotta start stepping up. So I started doing things. I started taking things into my own hands, and I started trying to be a little bit more of a leader, not like too much of like I didn't want people to not like me, but I started doing things that other guys around me weren't doing, and that's what it really took. And then week 8, I won't forget. Stuart DM'd me on Instagram and was like, "Hey man, you want to work week 8?" I was like, "Wow!" Like I did not expect that. I was like, "Yeah, man, what?" And he was like, "Okay, you'll be in the pavilion squad." And I was like, "Okay, sure. I mean, I guess whatever to be there, right?" And we were in the Pacer bunkhouse, and I just remember, man, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I met Dawson. I clicked with him so well. Very well. You could ask him. We remember, and we talk about it a lot that week. It was so much fun. We had a stacked squad, but I remember really stepping up there and being more confident in myself. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you really need more weeks to get to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and I mean, if you think about in the job world, and you only worked 5 weeks.
Right. Yeah. True.
Right.
True. Oh yeah. I worked 4.
4?
Yep. One my first summer, and then
1
3.
your first summer, and 3 your second summer, including that 8th week.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So see, that's not a lot of time to get good at something, and so, you know, when JCs only work a couple weeks, and of course, if a JC's listening, they're like, "I want to, but you didn't hire me," you know, and it's like, okay, well, it's tough because, you know, you're trying to get some more weeks and some as many weeks as possible, and you know, there's just you know, it's tough because I know that there's good JCs that just don't get a chance.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's tough because it's so different. I don't know. I work at Target back home.
Okay,
and it's like when I first stepped in, it was so much because before that, I worked at Five Below. And Five Below is this small little store with not too much going on with it. I mean, it's awesome, but you got Target. Target's huge. There's so many levels to it, and it's kind of like camp. There's a position for all of the different things, all the different departments, and I got hired as an upfront worker. So I was on a register for my first few weeks, and it was like, oh, my back, but. Then they started like they were like, man, we want to keep this guy, so they hired me after seasonal work, and they started showing me the ropes of like guest service, and oh my gosh, that felt like a beast because I saw people coming up and they're like they would just come up with these crazy requests and crazy like trying to return things like. Bro, I have no idea. Every second I'd be like, can I get a LOD to the service desk? And they're like, yeah, I guess, you know what I'm saying? And I had to go learn drive ups and all that stuff. And it was like, it took me so long. And I've only been working there for 5 months, and I still don't feel like 100% like I know everything. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. Like you could be working somewhere for so long, but you still aren't fully trained yet. Does that make sense?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why we always encourage you guys, you know, especially when you're here all summer, to do several summers.
Yep.
Because, I mean, with training and everything, you're here 10 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 months.
Right.
But if you do 4 years, then you're able to get to a level. I mean, how different has it been for you this year?
It's felt I want to say easier,
Absolutely.
but I mean, it's just been so different because there's different, everybody's different, all the campers are different, but the system wise it has been so smooth. I mean, just like what's going next. So you don't even have to look at the schedule anymore. Kids are like what time are we doing this? I'm like, I don't know. We're gonna find out though, right? And that's just what I tell everybody.
But you're able to become an artist.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
An artist of leadership is what I mean, because you're not mechanical anymore.
Right.
You're not a robot.
Right. And especially with like the stories we tell. Everybody tells the same stories, right? And so week one, I don't know about everybody else, but I was still trying to figure out the right things to say because I wanted to keep the kids entertained, because my Monday night story is like all entertainment, no like crazy, like it's just a crazy story. The kids are laughing, but then I have to turn that into a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night story about Joseph and Esther and then Samson. And week one, it's like you're trying to find the balance between what details you should give and how to make it funny and how to deliver the message perfectly. And now it's like it's so easy. I remember week one. I was telling Joseph, it was the first Bible story, and I was like, I had the outline open on my phone just to be safe. I remembered it, but just to be safe. And I remember reading it, and I don't know why, I talked about what a cistern was for like 5 minutes. I was like almost half the story, I was just like trying to explain to them because they were asking questions. I was like, this is not an important detail. Like, let's call it a pit. Let's call it a pit with no water, okay? And I was just trying to explain.
What was it like where he was?
Yeah. How deep was it? Was there water in there? Could he swim out of it?
Yes. Yes to all.
Sure, man. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, that's tough. Trying to get those details, man. Trying to work them out. Now I just call it a pit.
Yep.
Now I just call it a pit and move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
And just so everybody knows that is listening, we've always told stories at night or done things, but this year we really tried to emphasize telling 3 stories: Samson, Joseph, and Esther.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And with a theme and a message of those. And the reason is, back in the day, we all used to go to Sunday school. And I don't know, you may not have. The Sunday school programs may have been, kind of dead by the time you were growing up. But when I was young, which wasn't that long ago.
Right.
We're talking about, mid to late 80s.
Yeah, it was.
And yeah, and they had that kind of stuff,
right.
And so as a kid, you were learning the Bible,
right?
And it was just kind of something as a team. We decided, okay, Brookhill's going to try and take up that mantle a little bit.
I love it, and it's whenever I was like my first year on staff, and I had to run that bunkhouse for the first time, and I was like, man, I got to tell stories. What am I going to tell? I had to do a Monday night story, which that one wasn't too hard, but then I had to but tell these other Bible stories. I remember, I think I told Ehud on Tuesday, classic Guys Hill story, but it wasn't very good because I knew the story. I knew these stories, but I didn't know how to tell them. And I just could tell I was not putting words together. It was not stringing nice. And I remember my JC was like, you probably should have said this. you probably should have said this, man. I was like, okay, you're fair. We're pretty much the same age, so fair. I guess you can.
JC pulls Hayden aside. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, hey. Could have made it a little more funnier if you would have just said this. I'm like, too bad now. Hey, it's done now. We got to work on tomorrow's story.
All right, you got the story tomorrow night, buddy.
Yeah, hey, let's see you do it, man. And that's what I did.
I love it.
That's what I did.
Love it. You did it.
Yeah. And then I coached him up.
And you're like, hey, let me tell you.
Hey, man. Yeah. Going back and forth. Yeah.
Hey, do you feel like staff training when Jason got up there and Lindley got up there and I got up there, just to see even 3 different people, to be like, there's no perfect way to tell these?
I loved it. And I loved how, was it you that told Esther? Or was it?
Yes, I told Esther because I specifically wanted to be the one to tell the girl story, so that the guys weren't thinking that's a girl story.
Because I was like, bro, I do not know how I'm going to tell Esther. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make that, because you got Samson,
right?
And you got Joseph that are just like,
right.
Man, they went through this and
right.
And they rip people, or Samson ripped people apart, and it's just this manly story. And then you got Esther, and it's like, I didn't know how
Right.
to work.
Queen.
Yeah, queen.
How are we going to talk about a queen?
Yeah, now we're going to talk about a girl boss.
Right.
And they're like, what?
And it's incredible.
Yeah, when you told it, I was like, wow, I
Yeah.
can make it interesting because
It's cool.
It was good, yeah.
It was I always told 3 every summer. I told Job, I told Gideon, and I told Esther.
Okay.
Those were my 3 stories.
Gideon's
so
a good one.
that's why I said, let me tell Esther, because it was my story, and I just always saw, because the whole point, is stepping up.
Yep.
That's the Esther story.
Yep.
Is God has placed you where He's placed you for a reason, even if you don't understand it, even if it's difficult. But He always has a mission for you to step up.
Yeah.
And I thought that resonated. It doesn't matter if it's, I'm telling Esther. So anyway, I wanted to tell it during after I said, give me Esther.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. And it's just, it's really what it's about is like the moral of the story. And I love that. I love the 2-week, man. I love the 2-week because I get to tell more stories.
Oh, you could add the Ehud and make it better finally.
I added David and Goliath, and I did this last year too, just to hype my guys up. So it's like we're going to the last days. I tell David and Goliath, I'm like, guys, I tell whoever's in first place, I'm like, they're Goliath, and we're not necessarily David, but guys, we are going to slay this giant. We are going to take them down, guys. Nobody believes in us. We are about to step up, and then we never really step up and get first, but we have fun.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the 2-week telling different stories and letting like my older JCs and ACs tell stories too. And I love being able to coach them because when I was a JC, I remember Tucker was like, bro, you want to tell a story tonight? I was like, no. But then he's like, dude, I think you should. I was like, okay, I got it. Well, he also told me like 20 minutes before lights out. So so I went to the shower house and I was just thinking of what I was going to say.
Tuck.
And then I told it, and he coached me up a little bit. But I really remember next year being a buckskin with Andrew, and he was like, you're telling a story. I was like, bet, I can do that. I've told a couple now. And what he did was he set out a lawn chair in the corner of the bunkhouse, and he just was watching me, staring at me. And I was like, wow, I've never felt this before. And I was like, I was getting kind of nervous because I looked up to this guy who was really good at telling stories, great counselor. And then when it was done, he was like, he coached me up so well. Like I still use a lot of the things that he told me today, like using emphasis on the big parts and just how to deliver it well and how to hit the punchline well and how to make them laugh even more. So yeah, it was so awesome getting to learn like that, and that comes with being a JC and stepping up and finding, because they weren't going to let me tell a story as a first week. Like,
right.
I mean, but as I moved on and as I started to know these all summers better and know what they like to see and know what they want out of me, then they'll start trusting me with more, and that's what I really ran with as a JC.
The cool thing about that is that's no different than any job.
Yeah.
And I love that here. I feel like we're preparing people to go and be in any job, because in any job, you got to figure out what the boss wants.
Yep.
You got to figure out what the mission of the organization is. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if you're in a ministry organization or if you're at, Target or Five Below or wherever you're saying. I don't care where you're at. Yeah. You have to figure out what they're wanting. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then do that.
Yeah, Brookhill definitely laid that foundation for me, and that's like a lot of people say that because it's true. Like I was taking out trash, I was sweating, I was getting disgusting. Never had even thought that this was a thing as a camper, but here I am working so hard just because that's what my AC told me to do.
That's right.
And I took that home with me. I hadn't had a job until after my second year as a JC, and with working so hard and working with such a team is so awesome, and then going and working at Five Below, I was like, dang, like this is so different. Like I was working so hard, and then there was only a couple other people around me, and then it was just real life work, and it was but Brookhill taught me how to work hard and how to listen to my boss and how to work with a team and how to find my boss's biggest victory, stuff like that.
That's huge.
Yeah, miles of help. Miles.
And our goal is really to teach y'all to work really hard and set a really strong pace. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you go anywhere else, You know, I mean, it's like training for a race, right?
Right.
It's like if your coach expects this insane time from you,
Yeah.
you know, then when you get around everybody else, you're like, whoa, this is a little easier.
Yeah.
You know, if
right.
your training is harder than the game,
Yeah.
what kind of game are you going to have?
Literally. One thing I was thinking about, like, kind of along the lines, but in middle school and high school, I've always played soccer. That's always been
I wanted
my
to talk
big
about
sport.
that.
Yeah. And a lot of guys nowadays are athletes, and I love it. But I was in middle school, especially. I was always like the slowest one on the team, always. And it was like all my friends, they loved soccer so much. I was kind of like, I'm more of a video game type of guy.
Okay.
And video games, it literally felt like I was playing so much video games that I could tell it was holding me back from. And I still love soccer. Like, that's still something I wanted to be at, but I couldn't stay away from video games to be better at soccer. It was just I couldn't find that balance. And then as I started growing up and maturing, I started realizing, like, video games, I'm just sitting here. I'm getting worse. I'm getting slower than these guys, and I wanted to play on varsity. I wanted to start. I wanted to play with all. It was my best friends, like high school best friends. They were all on varsity freshman, sophomore year, and I wanted to be there. And I didn't step up until my senior year, and it was right after COVID and all that stuff. I was grinding, man. I was going so hard, and that's what it took for me to finally step up and be in the position with them and get to win all these games and have an awesome season, man. It was awesome, but it only came because I had to stop being lazy. I had to step up, and that's another Brookhill thing, man. You can't be lazy here.
That's right.
You can't do it. Being uncomfortable, right? That's something I really took home and was like, man, I have to get a job. I have too much free time. Free time is good, but I can't have too much. So had to get a job, man. Had to study more. And then in high school, had to go work out more. Had to go run more. Had to go just go out to the field more and get better. Be less comfortable.
I love that. Yeah, we've been talking about that last couple of years to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, and you know, you were kind of right on the beginnings of kind of what we call the bro movement, right? Where we've been really challenging our guys because I feel like they're getting the opposite from our world. Our world is telling guys they're trash, you know.
That's what I tell my guys.
You know, and so did that affect you when we were really challenged? Maybe it sounds like you were already challenging yourself a little bit. So maybe when we were telling you to step up, you were like, yes, you know, it was already in your heart.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. And it really sparked my first summer because I had never heard any of these staff training sessions and they were all fresh to me. And then we were talking about just all the stuff like that. And I wrote it all down and it really just stayed in my head. And throughout the year, I was like, man, I got to do, like, and it sparked from you guys talking about it. You guys saying, like, and the guy talk, the man, that's where it came from, the man talk.
Tender Warrior.
Yes, Tender Warrior talk. I remember it in the hub, and it was right before the 2 week, and we were all just trying to run through brick walls, like going crazy. And I remember I was like, man, and that's when I started hitting the gym more, and that's when I started trying to get a job more and trying to just be a better man, trying to not be as lazy. That's really where I took a step up and just back home.
I love that because the bottom line is strong men create strong cultures.
Yep.
Strong men, they create strong, and what I mean by culture is school culture, work culture, church culture, you know, Brookhill culture. No matter where you're at, when men step up, because the girls are already stepping up.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
True.
You just don't see girls that don't step up.
Right.
They're already stepping up, and I think they're feeling like I'm by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are the guys? You know, and I think the guys are kind of sitting there going, "Well, we're getting beat up. Everyone's telling us to stop being guys," and so we've tried to counter that.
Yeah, I definitely, especially this summer. So I started teaching water rides this summer.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I love water rides. I love talking to the older kids. I can connect with them so well. But so I stay on the trampoline the whole time, and I've taught it a lot with Jensen. So me and her have been. Like, it's been really smooth, the things that we talk about. And with the girls, we like to talk about, like, red flags and guys. And they're always talking about, like, when they're lazy or when they don't, when they're disrespectful, when they're shy, shy is like, but when they're too scared to step up for themselves,
to communicate,
communication and stuff like that. And it's like, dang, like that is a real, like it's a problem nowadays. Like it wasn't that harsh back then, you know what I'm saying? And I talk to the guys, and we do the same thing, but it's never the same with the girls. It's never like when they aren't stepping up, when they're just like, the girls aren't really like that. Like,
no, they're stepping up.
Yeah,
they're stepping up, and I think they're naturally stepping up because our world is telling them to step up.
Yep.
You know, all these commercials, everything, you know, anything on Instagram, TikTok. I mean, it's all about girls stepping up, which I love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Awesome, yeah.
You know, but the guys aren't getting that encouragement. And so, you know, we encourage the girls here. You know, our girls team big time encourages the girls.
Awesome, yeah.
You know, but I think the movement, you know, for us since, 2020, 2021 is, hey, guys, step up too.
Yeah.
Join them.
For sure.
Join them at the top, right?
And
don't sit at the bottom.
Yeah, when I came in, it was like that's what you guys were talking about, how awesome girl staff, and I was like we're awesome too. We got to show it, man. We really got to start doing stuff, and the older guys really hit hard on that, and it was awesome to see.
Oh, they bought in.
Yeah, last year was awesome, man.
Callan was one of the biggest ones that bought in, and he was such a leader. Jackson followed suit. Yeah. Andrew.
Yes.
I mean, you know, just all those guys really stepped up, and I was just so proud to see that.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
And so, I love that. So is that kind of stuff that you talk about in the cabin? You really just challenge your guys, you know, to step up, you know, like maybe the Esther story or whatever.
So obviously I tell the morals of all the bedtime stories, stepping up with Esther. Samson, you're going to fall short, but God is still right behind you. You can still take those steps back and still see him. And then Joseph, obviously, victim. I talk about that for
it's my favorite. What a such a time as this story, right?
Literally, yeah. And then on Thursday nights, when I'm talking to my guys after the crucifixion, I talk about how today, especially, I get real serious with it. I'm like, today, guys, the devil does not want you to be a man. The devil wants you to sit on your phone and to do nothing. They want you to be lazy, guys. God created us to not be lazy. He created us to step up and to be men and to be leaders of where we are. And I strongly encourage them to take small steps because a lot of them aren't really there yet, and they need to take small steps. And I challenge them to wake up 5 minutes earlier and pray or read the Bible and just find time in their day to do these things that they don't usually do. I tell them to change up their schedule, man. Not to be. I don't tell them to be uncomfortable, but I tell them that they got to start changing things if they aren't feeling like they should be. You know,
they got to make sacrifices. You know, and if you think about all three of those stories, Joseph, Samson, and Esther, they all could have sat on the sidelines. And I like your story where you were talking about, you know, you had this soccer thing, and not that everybody has to play soccer, not that everybody has to play sports, but that was an area of your life symbolically that you could step up in now at your age. And video games had you on the sidelines. And it wasn't like you were this big esports guy.
No, definitely not.
You weren't going to be like this college video game guy, you know, and so it was just for fun. And it was, and if all you do is have fun all day long, you're not building anything.
Right. That's right. And with the video game thing, like, I love, and I still like video games.
Absolutely.
Like, nothing wrong with it at all.
Absolutely.
I love it.
No, this is not a knock on video games.
Definitely not. I love video games. And it's becoming a lot bigger.
It's more of a knock on staying on the sidelines.
Yes, exactly. And video games are so awesome because now, like, all these campers, like, they love video games too. So it's so easy. As a counselor, I tell my JCs this every single week in the setup talk. Guys, we're about to move in campers. All right, we got to be able to talk to them. I'm going to set you up real quick on how to do that.
Love it.
Either the camper is going to love sports or they're going to love video games.
Easy.
And you say, do you play sports? No. Do you play video games? Most of the time it is yes. If no, then there's something.
There's a third, yeah.
Yes.
They're going to
so
tell you. Yeah.
It's like 90% of kids.
Right.
They love video games or they love sports or
Right.
they love both. And it's so easy to get them talking about video games, man. There's so much depth. There's so many games in sports. There's so many teams that they could like. There's so many players. There's just so much to talk about. And I always set up my JCs to be able to carry on a conversation like that. Just ask them questions about themselves and they will carry on that conversation. They will be able to tell you everything there is to know. Literally.
Man, that is so good. You know, I do want to talk about one other thing with you. I know we're getting a little low on time, but the one thing I want to talk with you, you know, you're in college, you're at UCA.
Yep.
And I think this might be a really cool subject for you to hit real quick.
Yeah.
You know, I know you've got a major. You know, everybody has to pick a major,
Yep.
and I know some of the other guys are a little more confident
Yeah.
in what they feel like, and that's right now. Life
Right.
can change
Right.
everybody.
Right.
But talk about a little bit, just kind of about where you're at, about your future and your
Yeah.
major and what you're going through, the process.
So right now, I came into college undeclared, which if that, you know, I'm
Sure.
undecisive, which that's very common. But then I declared business because I was like, man, both my parents, they were both business majors. And then I'm like, just this year I was like marketing. I want to do marketing. Both my parents graduated with marketing degrees at the same school. So I was like, hey, if they can do it, I can too.
That's
Surely,
right.
Surely.
That's right.
And they love what they do, and it's like I haven't really thought too much about it. I haven't thought about what I want to do after school. People ask me, what do you want to do with that? I'm like, make money, do something I want to do. And then and you see all these guys like my closest friends on staff, they're crop science majors. Hayden is like, this is what I want to do. I am passionate about this, and he will talk about it every single day. You'll catch him saying something about crop science. And like Jet, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He's already got these internships, and he's already on path to doing something awesome, like a lot of fun. And I'm still trying to find what I want to do after college, after I get out of school. And I'm really just playing it by day. We'll see what happens. I know God has something and plan for me. He had something for me here at camp, and he's not done with me. So that's what we're waiting on.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know, my thing is, Hayden, you know, and I think there's a lot of pressure, especially where you're at. There's a lot of pressure on high school kids to know who you want to be and where you're going to go. And I think you should always be pursuing that and figuring that out. But you got to be where you're at, because where you're at is going to develop you into where you're going.
Yep.
There is no leapfrog into this thing.
Yep.
And what if God is making you into something right now that you can't declare because he hadn't developed that thing into you?
Yeah.
And so just to trust him and have that kind of faith, you know, and maybe to take the pressure off and say, God's got you. That doesn't mean you sit back and play video games. It means you work hard and you develop, you know, you're on a path, bottom line.
Yep.
But here's the thing. I'm running Brookhill 12 months out of the year. I didn't start doing that till 6 years ago.
That's true.
At 38 years old.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's important to realize that God is always making you and taking you somewhere as long as your hand is in his hand, kind of a thing. And so, you know, anyway, I know we're running low on time here, but bro, I have loved our conversation,
I love it.
connecting, talking about leadership, talking about life.
For sure.
And what a legacy that you're building here at Brookhill. So
I'm glad to be here, man. It's been a great time.
Yeah, and you're killing it this summer too, bro.
Thank you.
The Hayden Youngblood Life, Legacy, and Leadership Podcast, the Brookhill Podcast.